So I guess my first question is, because given your position in the Valley, how would you describe the issue today? Right, because it's been going on for 30 years. So is it an economic issue that's continuing? Is it political? Is it religious, or something altogether? How would you, I guess, describe the problem?
I would put religious at the last. Kashmir was never having any religious issue. It was political. Basic was political. And then which led to economic issue as well. Definitely. It's been decades since '89 when the turmoil started. The political issue between two countries over the land between India and Pakistan, so-called Indian occupied Jammu Kashmir, that is the political issue, which has led to a definite economic fall in the state.
So are you saying that the lack of economic development opportunities is why this conflict is being sustained to this day? Right, because a lot of the people, for example, in the strikes that happened yesterday, were a lot of young people, right? People my age, probably up to 25, right? So are you saying that these strikes are occurring as a result of the lack of economic opportunities in the state?
When there is turmoil in a state, in a country, definitely it hits the economy. It hits the development process. When there is no peace, you cannot think about the development at the same time. And there have been wrong policies by the governments which have been here since decades, 60 years. Their recruitment policies have been nil. They have not been actually thinking about the development or the employment policy of J&K, which has led into a serious threat to the youngsters regarding the employment, regarding the economy. The backbone of J&K is horticulture, agriculture. And how many people are going in that stream? Very rarely. Because I think Jammu Kashmir is one of the literate state. People from Jammu Kashmir, their children, they go to different states, even they go out of country for education. And when they come back to their state, they're jobless. So this is the scenario right now here.
So I guess would you then characterize the idea, I guess going back to the question, is it being, because it started for a different reason, but is the modern manifestation of it the reason it's being sustained as a result of lack?
Yes.
So if somehow jobs could come back?
Yes.
I guess that's an interesting point, because I visited a local university and talked to quite a few of the law students, and every single one of them said that even if economic opportunities came back, they would still want freedom.
Yes.
No,
okay.
They would still want freedom.
Okay.
The Kashmir to be free and different from Jammu.
Okay.
So I guess my question, then going off that, is that so many young people refuse to then vote in the political system because they feel they don't want to succumb to a system that they feel has oppressed them, right, in India, with the Indian government. So how do you convince them to bring them back? Is it these economic opportunities? Because to them it isn't. So how are you able to then convince them that they return to our democracy?
See, till now, the connection, the relation between center and state has been too much humiliating, I can say, as a Kashmiri. Too much suppression is there. But giving a chance to the same party for 60 years, that was Congress, they have been only crying that we will resolve Jammu and Kashmir issue, but nothing was done. And all the actions, all the plans were against Jammu Kashmir. It started from Jawaharlal Nehru. His take on sending the forces to Jammu and Kashmir till there was the Modi government came in. All the policies were against Jammu and Kashmir. Talk about the economy, talk about the recruitment, talk about instigating militancy. Nothing has happened till now to control militancy, to control organizations with anti-national elements. No such action was taken where youth can be shown the right path. I was born, I don't know what was accord between the India and Pakistan. I was not aware, I'm not aware. But the element which goes from generation to generation, though we're not even aware, was that the right decision or this is the right thing? But where I was born was the Indian occupied, or I would say Kashmir is an integral part of India. And the better version I say is India is the integral part of Jammu and Kashmir. Because with this, only the ego clash is there by saying Kashmir is an integral part of India. So this embedded sentiment is there, though they're not aware. What are the repercussions if we go like the other way around? If they want freedom, freedom from what? They want to go with Pakistan?
No, freedom as a separate state.
Separate state.
I don't think any. I guess it leads to another question. But when the young people I've talked to, because I have family friends here, I've gone to university. They recognize that it's worse off in Pakistan, right? But they also believe that Kashmir itself should be a separate state.
Yeah, but I don't think there will be any kind of development. We don't have any future independently. They are better off now, at least, with a better party in the center. Things have really moved after decades and decades towards development, towards peace. Yes, definitely in such a scenario, when Congress was there and when other political parties were leading the state, definitely anybody can think about having a different state, because so much of suppression, so much of human right violation was happening. Anybody, any normal human can think, yes, we definitely want freedom from all that. But it's such a situation, it's become such murkier that it will take time to clean the muck.
So part of my paper is trying to reflect on the past and look to the future. So because your father was also a politician, you probably know about the past quite a bit. So I wanted to go a bit there. So I guess my first question is, to what extent should the instrument of accession be considered binding? Right? Because post it, Nehru continued to talk about a plebiscite, and some people argue that's what incentivized such an occurrence, right? Because accession is binding. At the same time, whether it's true or not, many young people I talked to said that the Maharaja is not the democratic representative of their people, where Sheikh Abdullah is. Right? So to what extent should the instrument of accession in all its parts be considered binding, rather than allowing for people to have that wiggle room?
I think they have been just the part of discussions globally, internationally, in every drawing room of Jammu and Kashmir or Delhi. These won't actually come into an action, or nothing will change in Jammu and Kashmir. You talk about autonomy, you talk about plebiscite, you talk about anything, nothing is going to change. The status of Jammu and Kashmir will remain same forever. As much intrusion from the neighboring country, the elements from Jammu and Kashmir who are talking about it, no status will change.
So it should be binding, that Kashmir.
Yes.
Well, then I guess another question is, because one of the parts of the instrument of accession that all of the princely states signed was that that state does not have to commit to the future constitution of India. It's the last document, right? So then to what extent, so should then Article 370 be respected? Because that's what many local political parties demand pre-1953. And their argument, I've talked to some of them, is that because of the instrument of accession should be considered binding, they agree that they should exceed India. It also guarantees that they don't have to follow the future Indian constitution other than in three aspects. So shouldn't that also be respected in a sense, if you're saying that it's binding?
Article 370, if you've read about Article 370, have you read about it?
I've read the thing, and I think it doesn't fully comply with what's supposed to happen. But then shouldn't that debate for autonomy reoccur then, right? Because that is what was promised to Kashmir if they were willing to take it.
Article 370 has been abrogated by the state government itself. It's just the shell left inside. It's not by any political party outside the state who came and kept on abrogating Article 370. It has actually been abrogated since years. Since every government came, it kept on abrogating one by one. So it's just the shell. Again, it's just a political discussion.
So this occurrence, so it's sort of the eliminating of it, occurred largely in the 1960s and 70s, correct? Well, during this time, at least what many people claim, and part of this thing is me trying to figure out what's true versus what's false, right? Is that a lot of people argued that Congress was manipulating the government this time. With the house arrest of Sheikh Abdullah, there was no trial given to him. So can that sort of reduction of the power that Article 370 had be held as justified? Because to them, there wasn't any free election until Abdullah comes back. So can that really be held justified as a democratic process if that's true?
Yes, he has. When Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah took very massive steps in favor of Jammu Kashmir, most of his age he has lived in jail, even his family, and he was always being backstabbed by Nehru family in the center. So these are the repercussions. That's what we are talking again and again. It is nobody who has done a damage in J&K as much as Congress has done, as much Nehru family has done. They backstabbed Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah. He actually tried to make and reform Jammu Kashmir I would say like the best place on the earth. But the policies, the backstab, the kind of I would say, I can use a word, they cheated his trust. He was like, all the time backstab.
I'm not disagreeing with that point, but I guess my question was that a lot of the abrogation of Article 370 occurred when he was in prison, correct?
Yes.
And that...
No, not only when he was in prison.
Because you're saying the state governments did it, right?
Yes.
But a lot of people say that Congress was in control of state politics, and that's also the state government's fault, right? So, but isn't there then an argument to be held that elimination of Article 370 isn't justified? It wasn't legal, and neither was it democratic. So then, my question is, then how can we now say that because they got rid of during a time where the people were not even in control of their own politicians, how can we continue that to this day?
First of all, it cannot be abrogated in just one day. It has been abrogated one by one, step by step. And then its act, it has to go with a majority in the assembly. One has to understand that. And then anything, see again, if some court will give a ruling that, oh yes, we have abrogated Article 370, that means they have already abrogated it. Because in that, Supreme Court does not intervene in J&K constitution. They have their own...
other than finance and military.
Yes. So that has already been the abrogation. So I hope you can understand what I'm actually trying to, within years, decades, it has already been just...
slowly chipped out.
Yes. We cannot argue now when Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was sent to prison and then what happened after that. What Nehru did. It's not the time to think about the history, talk about the history. It is about the present situation.
But I guess the question is that I think, and this is something that I think is quite often said by history teaching historians, is that to ignore the past, you're damned to repeat it, but to indulge too much in the past, you create more problems. So is this a stage where you think where people are trying to overindulge into the past, or is it ignoring it?
Overindulging into the past.
Okay.
I can say definitely overindulging the past. In the children of your age, my kids' age, they're not even aware of any history about what has happened during the Maharaja, what happened during the Jawaharlal...
Kashmiris?
Kashmiris, but they're not aware. But yes...
I've talked to quite a few of them and they seem pretty aware.
Not everybody.
That's true.
Yeah, not everybody. And they will just still yell about Article 370 and 35A. Okay, ask them what is 370. Oh, everybody is shouting and screaming about it should not be abrogated. So we're also. Yes, a very limited people. If you go to universities, if you people who are doing PhDs or research, they know about it. Not the whole crowd.
So I guess this question is probably straight implied, but I just want to make sure I'm correct. So is the existence of Article 370 therefore crippling Kashmir's progress, right? To continue in the Constitution?
No.
So it should remain in the Constitution?
Yes, it is there until and unless the whole, all the stakeholders, they come into the panel and they have a discussion. Government of India, present government is also talking about, let's have a debate. Let's ignore Article 370, will remain or will not remain. The more focus is on the security. The more focus is on the youth going towards militancy. More focus is towards the development. Unfortunately, few years back, 4-5 years back, we have got traffic signal. That is the development what Jammu Kashmir got. I have never seen in my life, since I was born till now, any theatre where I can go and watch movie.
Yeah, it was one. There was one in the 80s, and it was shut down after the insurgency.
Yeah, I was born during that time.
No, because I passed it yesterday. That's
Yes.
why.
There are, and they're all into shambles.
It's been taken over by the military.
There are no malls, there are no theatres, there is no such entertainment where youth can go.
Okay, so I guess I have two questions, I think, Dwara, and I hope to get them. So, but Jammu is quite different, right? There's development occurring,
Yes.
right? So I guess my question is there a divide between Jammu and Kashmir in the way the culture and populace sees each other? And are government and politicians treating them, or perhaps looking to benefit off them?
Definitely till now benefit them. And there is a geographical difference, there is a cultural difference, there's a difference of everything, I can say. But till now, all Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, they're together. The three different regions with different language, with different culture, with different weather, but all together they have been taken Jammu Kashmir in as a one state. Yes, Jammu has improved tremendously, and I think these years of turmoil, Jammu has been benefited, because whole focus of development was toward Jammu. People moved from this place because of the turmoil, because of the militancy
To Jammu.
to Jammu. So it has developed. If you see Jammu then and now, it was just a railway station, just a hopping place, like people would take a train from Jammu. It was called just a railway station. And now you can see Jammu as a developed.
So I guess on that divide, right? Because I've talking to some people, right? A lot of them feel that there's different treatment among them. They feel somewhat harassed in Kashmir, having to always carry documents on, and I guess there's obvious reasons behind that. But how do you bridge the gap between the three states, right? Because historically speaking, Jammu was a separate state for a long time, right? So what role do politicians have? Does the government in bridging that gap to unite them once more?
If you internally see, they're already united. If you see politically, Jammu people have always been cribbing that there was never a CM from Jammu. There was never many ministers from Jammu. It was majorly from Kashmir. But when there was a coalition between PDP and BJP, there was an equal division between the Jammu ministers and this Kashmir ministers. And I think not much has to be done to bridge. It is the connection, definitely a connection is there. Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, we cannot just, segregate them. Even by talking, segregating them is a problem when it is one state. Different regions with different language, with different culture, but as a one state. And center has taken real good care. If something regarding the development, like Kashmir was given aims, Jammu was given aims. So they're balancing it. We really need to balance it. Jammu has always lived in a complex that there was no development, less ministers, less seats. So that vacuum has been filled now.
With the PDP?
Yes.
So I guess my question about the PDP-BJP alliance, and this is, I guess, a bit tangential, but I guess one of the questions is because how did that alliance even come together, right? Because on PDP, one hand, this is a party that very much continues and talks about restoring autonomy to its pre-1953 levels, whereas BJP was founded on the elimination of Article 370. So how does such alliance even come together, right? And how does that even work out, right?
It was an arranged kind of a marriage, North Pole, South Pole getting together. When we contested in 2014, we didn't even had any cadre in Jammu and Kashmir. But yes, we brought change. We had the candidates to contest in heart of a city. And Congress was in power so many years but never had candidates. And I always say we took off without runway and we finally landed making a government. PDP was the only option where there was a majority, equal majority from PDP and equal majority from BJP. And government of India also thought that this is going to be the best alliance where there are equal number of distribution of seats and we can think about development. keeping their ideology at the side, because we had also not been talking about the ideology. It was about the development. It was bringing peace to Jammu and Kashmir. That was BJP's ideology. But they were never, willing to talk about the peace, the development. They kept on cribbing about the policies, which were really not important in case of the development. If there is a development, if there are better roads, better schools, better hospitals, things can change. The scenario of people mindset will definitely change. They have been looking at one kind of a hospital since decades, since it was born. There was no improvement ever. If the schools were just the building was made and kids were thrown inside, yes, this is the school. That is not called the school. Now we are filling up those schools with tables and chairs. Now we are giving them the sanitation. Now we are giving them the washrooms. Girls would hesitate going to schools. So this was I would say, like, really backward. We were going at the backward front. So such alliances would not work where my ideology is about the development and you're still cribbing about your ideology.
It's when you're able to unite on development, is that okay?
Yes.
Another thing you've mentioned quite a bit is about security, right? And that, I think, ties in with AFSPA, right? So if you could talk about why to this day central government gains its importance when a lot of local people or even the state governments are asking for it to be limited in certain regions where things they feel have calmed down, right? So the national conference, perhaps, I think, from what if I'm correct, tried to get limited military in 2 regions, so eliminate most because they felt that things had calmed down. So why is AFSPA continue to be important, right? And at this level where many state governments or parties believe it's too much.
When was AFSPA brought into?
I believe it was 1950s.
National Conference was in power till?
It was in the 90s.
I always have this question to them. Why not, till 2008, you were in power, why couldn't you remove AFSPA? You were in power.
Till 2008?
Yes, 2008.
Didn't Omar Abdullah try to get it removed in 2009 when he got elected to power?
Why not till then?
Because, I mean, at least their argument is that it was necessary up until then. That things calmed down under his reign, that things gone. I guess that's their point.
The security in Jammu Kashmir is the security, the situation, the militant threat is absolutely unpredictable as the weather. We don't have a rainy season, we just have the winter snowfall. So it is unpredictable. We don't know from where the infiltration starts, where the militant group starts,
But has the militancy been going down quite a bit? Like
yes.
the last heart attacks was 2000. So I guess we're in 2019, and a lot of times
2019,
they even announce when they're going to have strikes.
Definitely to 2018-19, things are getting better. Things are getting really controlled. The previous governments, they were always interfering in the encounters as well. So we cannot, a common man cannot justify AFSPA is needed here or not needed here. If the opposition is talking about remove AFSPA, why not till 2009?
I mean, because their belief is that it was needed then. But I guess
it is needed then. Now we are controlling the situation. They never did anything to control the situation where AFSPA could be removed.
I guess
maybe in some time, few months or a year, when things are better, it can be removed.
But I guess this goes back to a point I made about young people, right? Because many feel that they're harassed by the large amount of military.
I agree to some extent.
Right, so because it's similar to the United States, right, where there's a lot of policing in African American communities, and so that bridge of trust between the government and the people is lost. So if you're going to be able to reach out, wouldn't you need to limit it? Because to them, it's the most militarized zone in the world.
Yes, I definitely believe and agree. A lot of human rights violations happen, but when there are forces, they're into some kind of a operation, and you interfere in their operation, their focus, their aim is to get the militant, hit the militant. And if something mishaps, like the village comes out, they protest, they cannot control the situation right then. So
but
it is a part of a conflict zone. Definitely these are the unfortunate things which happen in a conflict zone. And Government of India is definitely working on that.
So they are working the limit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I just want to know, because
Yes.
I going around in local parties, that's
They
never
are
talked about.
definitely working on that.
So I think to conclude, because you're busy, of course,
No,
I
it's
have
okay.
two overarching questions that I think is trying to summarize, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first one is, even though I know you don't like talking about the past too much, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess the overarching question, which is kind of open-ended, is where did we go wrong? So who or what can be held perhaps most responsible, or should we hold someone most responsible for what's happening today?
I can say, unfortunately, Kashmir never got the right kind of leadership
Until now.
till date. That was the mishap. They were always misguided. They were always used by their leaders. Yes, I respect what Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah has done for the state. People may call him Gaddar. People may call him by names, but I respect and salute what he has done, how he has sacrificed for this Jammu and Kashmir. And little haywire he can, as a politician, as a human error, I can give him that benefit of doubt. But he has definitely taken people together and brought where Jammu and Kashmir is. But yes, there were blunders done by the politicians here with the masses, with the common man, with their emotions, with their sentiments, for their own benefit. Until date, they don't have a right leadership, and they're still not able to decide which way to go. That's the reason we have Hurriyat, we have separatists, so many sects of separatist groups. We have National Conference, we have PDP. So they don't have not a right kind of leadership, and that is the problem.
So I guess my last question is then, what are the steps necessary for peace and prosperity to return to this state?
Yeah. For the first time, Government of India, I can give this credit to BJP, they have actually got these elements who have been bothering peace in Jammu and Kashmir. NIA raids, which has helped, getting accountability about the accounts of big shots in Jammu and Kashmir, accountability about these institutions who run in the front. There is some kind of Islamic institution or orphanage, and at the back it is the militant outfit. Nobody dared to get hold of them, and for the first time, when we are getting hold of them, things are getting in control. You can see since NIA raids, since few actions taken by the center, things are getting, the temperature is going down in the state. No more frequent stone pelting. I won't say it's abruptly stopped.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
But yes, it has gone down. Until and unless you don't get things corrected, mended in your own land, you cannot just blame the neighboring country. Definitely they have a big role for the militancy, for the graveyards which we have in Jammu and Kashmir. But our people are also responsible. The people inside, they have to be blamed. We have to get them, and we have to ask them how. No, we don't have to ask them. They have to be punished for what they have been doing with Jammu and Kashmir.